Good morning. I have a little bit of hesitation this morning to even deal with this subject since I know it will be controversial to many people. But since it keeps coming up, I feel I must deal with it and share my thoughts and feelings. The title is Separation Consciousness and the Web of Life. Creation works through a process of the evolution of consciousness, or the ever-increasing awareness of the creatures. I am convinced that all creatures are alive and have some level of awareness, even things we might consider inanimate. In the physical world, creatures seem separate, especially to those with higher consciousness or the ability to think. These creatures develop self-awareness. Humans, from our Earth perspective, appear to be the pinnacle of this self-awareness. We are able to perceive that we are part of a web of life, and that each level of creation seems to have its purpose and role to play. Today I'd like to share some of my thoughts on separation consciousness and the web of life. As I meditated this morning, I remember sitting a few days ago in the atrium in the middle of the afternoon for a half an hour or so. And what caught my attention was the little lizards that scamper back and forth in my atrium. And I was watching as they would sit still for a period of time, and then all of a sudden they'd run like crazy, bend down and apparently grab something in their mouth, and they'd be eating. I couldn't see what it was they were eating, perhaps little teeny ants or something. But they were definitely eating. And I watched them spellbound because I couldn't see the prey that they were seeing with their eyes. It was too small for me to even perceive with mine. And yet they could see it, and I'm sure they were living things that they were seeing, and all they were seeing in their consciousness is food. This is food. Now, I don't know about the little things that they were eating, because they no doubt have food needs also in the physical world. Because in the physical world, we eat and digest and eliminate, and it's a process that we are aware of, a process of life. I'm not sure if plants have that ability or not. I do know that plants, from scientific tests that I've learned about, plants have an awareness also. And I'm convinced that even minerals, rocks, and things like that, crystals, have a level of consciousness. If you look at them at the microscopic level, they have movement going on all the time, and that which is alive is able to move in itself. Now, the rock may not travel from point A to point B, but within the rock there is lots of movement going on, and that movement to me is a manifestation of its lifeness, its life formness. And I do a lot of analyzing. And the more I become self-aware, the more I realize that we are involved in a very intricately and beautifully designed web of life. And some parts of that web of life seem to be designed to feed other parts. And many within the human family are unaware that these parts have consciousness too. And we have removed ourselves in an artificial, by creating an artificial society, we have removed ourselves from the gratefulness necessary to appreciate the web of life in which we find ourselves. We get caught up with money and all sorts of false identified things that may be needed in our society. And to me, money is something that is still needed, although there are people that say money is evil. No, it's not. The financial system is evil, but money isn't. Money is just a means of exchange. But that's not really where I want to go this morning. It's another subject near and dear to my heart, but it's not where I'm going today. What I am wanting to focus on is eating. Because there's an awful lot of people that try to lay trips on everybody else as to what we should and shouldn't eat. And in every culture, in every human culture on this planet, the diet is different. People in some indigenous cultures eat things that I wouldn't think of eating. I don't eat shellfish. That includes lobster and crabs and shrimp. I don't eat any of that. But that's a choice. I don't lay that trip on anybody else. I don't eat shellfish. I certainly don't eat insects. At least not knowingly. Not by my choice. Does that mean that those that do are wrong? I don't think so. The indigenous cultures are often hunter and gatherer societies. They eat plants and animals, and they go out and they kill their own food. We don't do that in modern culture. But the indigenous people recognize the web of life. And I've heard and read that many times in these cultures, the hunter gives thanks for the prey that it kills and consumes and takes to its family and village to consume. It gives thanks that this creature gave its life to sustain the life of the community. And I think that's a beautiful thing. I think I might have told this story once or twice before in the many videos that I've created. When I was a teenager, I was invited to the home of an elderly couple, probably in their 80s, I'm going to guess, 70s or 80s. They seemed very old to me at the time, and maybe they were my age now, I don't know, but they seemed like they were really old. Now really old has a different meaning than it did when I was 18 or 19 or 20, or actually I wasn't a teenager. I was probably 20 years old at the time, now that I'm thinking about it. Because I was already out of the army. And I didn't get out of the army till I was 20 years old, so I had to be out of my teens. But in any case, I'll never forget that the old man was a retired minister. And he said grace before the meal. And I've never forgotten that grace. I don't remember everything that he said, but this is what I remember. Father God, I thank you for that which we are about to eat. And I thank each life form on our plates, for everything on our plates has given its life to sustain our life. That included the meat product and the plant product on our plates. It included the spices and everything. He left nothing out because he said everything on our plate. gave its life to sustain ours. That is understanding the web of life, even as the indigenous people understood the web of life. The sad thing in modern culture, as I said, we have forgotten that we are interconnected with the web of life. In all of our evolutionary attainment of self-awareness, we have been diverted and had our attention diverted from the natural gratefulness of perceiving what is real and what is artificial. We have gotten carried away with entertainment and all sorts of other distractions, and the natural world has become to us, in our modern thinking, more and more separate. And that's at our own expense. We have created factory farms to raise animals in unnatural situations, situations that can only be considered extreme cruelty to the animal itself. We have learned how to genetically modify chickens that don't have feathers and put them in little cages, and they live in unnatural conditions where they are fed chemicals to increase the productivity of the product, their flesh. And when I read John Robbins' book, Diet for a New America, I was appalled to learn of how animals are treated in factory farms. They do it with fish, they do it with fowl, they do it with mammals. It's unconscionable to me. It breaks my heart. And for 6 months, I became a vegetarian. Now, I wasn't 100% vegetarian, because if someone invited me to go to their house for a meal, and they served roast or chicken or whatever, I would eat it. But I never forgot that prayer. Everything that I'm consuming is life that gave its life for me so that I could sustain my life. I maintained the level of appreciation. And Margie in the workshops taught us conscious eating, to eat slowly and take into account all the steps that went in to that which we are eating, the hands that harvested whatever it was that was harvested, the plant, the animal that gave its life, all of the preparation involved in preparing the meal, the transportation involved in transporting it to get it to us, to become aware, consciously aware of the process of food and food preparation and consuming the food, to become aware. And I think it's really important as we recognize that our separation consciousness has gotten to the point that has made us insensitive to life itself. We even have corporations that think they have the right to own life, to own each other. The Pope, many centuries ago, declared that the church owns all the souls on the earth. How dare they? How dare they reach a conclusion like that? But we have all been unconscious. And I choose to give grace to those that are still unaware, because we just haven't awakened yet. Do you blame a child for what it has not yet learned? Do you blame a human being for what it does not yet know? I gave up being a vegetarian because I didn't enjoy the food and because I'm basically lazy. And it takes a lot more preparation to prepare a vegetable meal than it does to prepare other types of meals. That's not 100% true, but it's somewhat true in my particular situation. Yet when I'm in a relationship and I don't have to do all the cooking and stuff like that, I have a much better diet than when I live by myself, which is what I do. So anyway, I would like to invite those of you that have made the conscious choice to be vegan or live food people, vegetarians of some sort or another, to be kind toward those that still eat meat. They may or may not be conscious, but you can be conscious, I can be conscious, that all life forms serve other life forms, and all creation is in a web of life that serves the web of life. And some life forms do, by design, give their life for the sustenance and maintenance of the life of other life forms. This is simply the way it is in the physical world. It's not something I'm going to lose sleep over, of lizards going around and eating little insects that I can't even see from my vantage point. I could probably see them if I were able to get close enough and get a zoom lens camera. But with my eyes, I don't even perceive the food that they're eating. But it gave its life for the lizard's life. And this web of life, this food chain, exists in all of physical creation. Perhaps we are evolving to a point in time when we will no longer need to consume food. I don't know. I know there is such a thing as breatharians that live and get all of their sustenance from the air itself. I don't know how to do that yet. Maybe someday I will. Maybe someday you will. But until then, let's look at each other through eyes of grace and love and understand that we are evolving out of a highly intricate separation consciousness into a greater awareness of the web of life. And as we evolve into that greater awareness, we will become more grateful for all aspects of creation and be able to give thanks for everything. For everything serves everything else. Are you serving from a place of love, or are you trying to control others and make them like you? I ask you, please look at others with love and grace and allowance, and allow each soul to develop at its own pace, which is accelerating as we know. I've gone longer than I expected to go. I really thought this would be a short video when I began. Anyway, thank you for listening to a man who does care about life. Thank you. Namaste.